Hey guys, welcome to another Life's Little Golden Nuggets video. We're continuing with Steve Shazer just because we have this one and one more, and then that will wrap up all the books that I am aware that he has written that either I have already read or that he has published or that would just be in English. So bear with me, this will be great because we're coming in on his, fifth book, Words Were Originally Magic. And the big focus of this one that I picked up from it was how he tried to borrow from Sigmund Freud, talking about the power that words have, which really influences solution-focused brief therapy. It's the idea that words are the biggest intervention that solution-focused brief therapy says, is helpful for clients. Or at least one of their major tenets. Once again, this is my opinion and perspective, but most of the book is really a very deep philosophical approach of the power of words. He pulls from people like Jacques Derrida. He also pulls from a man named Lacan, and then also Jay Haley, Weakland, Paul Watzlawick, Friedrich Nietzsche. And he uses all of this to influence his idea that, which is kind of the gold nugget for this video, is language is both the problem and the solution for therapy, conversations, human interaction. It's basically the idea that the words that we use both have the power to not just destroy, but they can manipulate, they can change, and it causes a lot of misunderstanding and misinterpretation. So that's a big focus that Steve likes to talk about, is always remember that misinterpretation and misreading happens much more so than actually reading or getting it right the first time. I spoke to a client about this recently, that it's kind of like a basketball game where sometimes you might make more shots on average of the amount that you take, but you're definitely not perfect. And you can't guarantee that you're always going to make every shot when you go down the court. But as every sports person and sports lover knows, it's not about being perfect and getting it right, which in the book they bring up a topic about if we could totally understand each other the first time, there would be no need for contact, for interaction, for conversation. Or it only would be until you've spoken, I totally get it 100%, and that's all we need to know. He goes on to say, not only are the words helpful or not as just hurtful or just being misinterpreted and misread, but when they are understood, the power that it has is incredible, which is why he borrows from Sigmund Freud, who talked about the importance of words. And he said that he kind of was bringing up this idea that, words are starting to lose their magic. Sometimes they do, but he's saying no, they still have as much mysticism and power that they had back in Freud's time. It's just different. So, little gold nugget number one, language is the problem and the solution for therapy interactions, human interactions, for us to be able to understand one another. And so that's where I like to tell people, understand that it's language that's the problem. The way that we're talking to each other, and the words and the use of words and the meaning of words is what causes the stress. And then the more that I can understand it, the more that it helps me connect with that person, or them with me. And then for me, it just comes back to, don't forget the importance of retry. Try again. Don't just throw in the towel because you've maybe gone down the court 6, 7, 8 times, you've thrown up a layup and it keeps getting blocked, or it keeps just banking off the backboard wrong. It doesn't matter. The game is still going. And so I encourage my clients the same way, that I'm like, if it's couples, I'm like, listen, when you don't get your partner and you misread them, or you over assume their behaviors, or you over assume the meaning behind their behaviors, and then it turns into a bigger fight, that's not always the problem. Sometimes we can work that out, but more often than not, it's just you're gonna miss it. And don't be afraid that you've missed it. The question is, are you gonna try again? Are you gonna try to restart the conversation? Are you gonna try to reattach, reattune? Are you gonna try it any differently? And so that's where, using the language of solution-focused therapy, he talks about finding the exceptions. Always know that for them, and I believe it too, life changes so drastically, so quickly, on such a microscopic scale, that even if you've had a horrible week, there's always something that happened that was better. Or if you're wanting to figure out what is successful for the client, they use the miracle question, where it's like, hey, if your problem was gone, if everything was fixed, what would you be doing right now? Let's get rid of all of the emotional struggles and pain. Just where would you be and what would you be doing differently if you weren't having this problem? To where it then starts creating the goals of what the client wants. Well, I'd be going to the gym more. I'd be hanging out more with friends. I'd still be doing, playing my piano or guitar, or I'd be wanting to write a book. It's like, okay, there we go. Turns into the goals for therapy, using what the client wants. And the best thing is to use the client's language. That's why this book talks a lot about the influence of solution-focused therapy, to focus on the client's words. He says, for therapists to not try to use our clinical language that we are trained to know and learn through school. But if the client says, I want to be happy. Okay, so you want to be happy. What'll tell you that you're happy? Don't worry about, trying to say, oh, so you would like to be more joyful. Sometimes people want to throw in an extra word there. He says, no, just focus on them. And then if you want to focus on exceptions, focus both on exceptions currently or success in the past. All of those things can reveal little plot holes in their armor to say, hey, it's possible, it's doable, or at least can you pay attention and believe that it is? It's kind of where I make a reference about Kung Fu Panda, where Master Uwe talks about, you gotta believe even if it's not all visible. But the only way for you to think that it's there and that it is possible is you've got to believe it's there. So that's where solution-focused therapy really taps into Eastern philosophy, which Steve DeShazer and his wife Insu Kim Berg draw very much from Insu, who is from South Korea. So very much in the Eastern culture of Asia, and all of those influences, very important. So, yes, language, so important. Words have not lost their power. It's in the trouble of language and how we're communicating with one another that is usually causing a majority of the discomfort or fights or whatever. And it's both the words are the problem and the solution to what's going on. And so it's tapping into knowing that that's going to happen, that it's the language itself that's going to cause more of the problem. And then it's about not giving up in the middle of the game, but going and going and going until finally the bell rings, or whatever term you use to describe it. And so I just say thank you so much for joining me on this video. I really say, once again, check out Steve DeShazer's books. After he starts to get more philosophical, it's like, you can kind of take it as you will, but that's just my perspective. And understand the importance of words, how they both create problems and solutions, and how it's about staying in it and trying to really understand the words and the meaning behind them for both yourself and the person you're with. And how if you don't give up and you keep trying, that can be a big opportunity for a big difference. Thank you guys so much, and thank you for joining me on another little gold nuggets, and we'll check in next time with Steve's last book, as far as I'm aware, which is More Than Miracles. And so can't wait to see you guys then. Have a great night.